3.5 million years ago, the human animal stopped swinging in trees and started walking on the ground. Each human brought down with them their own unique way of communicating, their own unique manner in which they display emotion, and their own conflicts and ego. With 8 billion of these human beings walking around the same earth, you may have a strong, compelling urge to run back up into the safety of the trees. But don't. Instead, learn. Learn how to live among the humans.
And yabba dabba do, everybody. Hello, 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 and welcome to the first episode of How to Live Among the Humans. My name is Mark Janis, and I will be your host. In episode 1, we will talk about the self. Yes, that means you. And I would like to start off with a question. Let's say you think you're a sweetheart, that you think you're the nicest person in the world. And then you have somebody, maybe a friend, who says to you, no, you're not that nice. You're mean. And you say to them, no, I'm nice. And they say, no, you're mean. Who's right? Who's wrong? What about if 5 people tell you you're mean? And you say, no, I'm not. I'm nice. How about if 5,000 people tell you you're mean? And you say, no, I'm not. I'm nice. Is there more of a chance that you're wrong rather than these 5,000 people? You may want to be a nice person. You may actually be a nice person. But these 5,000 people, they have the impression of you that you're not a nice person. You're a mean person. So how does that work? Who's right and who's wrong? And how do we get it where everybody thinks that you're a nice person or a mean person, if that's what you want your reputation to be? Well, this has to do with the self-concept. And that's what we're going to talk about in this episode. The self-concept is how you see yourself. Why do some people think that they can walk into Bloomingdale's, walk up to the counters where they have the free samples, take a bunch of free samples, then go and get like a free makeup thing done? And by the way, they have no money in their pocket. They had no intention of buying anything. But they go in there and they get the free facial, they get the free samples, all that stuff. Why is one person like that and they don't feel guilty? While another person with no money will look at Bloomingdale's and say, nah, I can't go in there. I don't have any money. Why does one person think they're all that and a bag of chips? And the other person thinks that they're not even worthy, or they don't think it's right to walk into a place like Bloomingdale's with no intention to buy? Well, that's what we're going to find out. It all has to do with the self-concept. Now, what we do in a lot of the sciences is when things can't be explained, we make a model. In other words, if somebody were to ask me what a car is, I could pretty much show them a picture of a car. But if somebody asked me what the self-concept is, I can't really show them that, a picture of it. But I can't show them a model. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put up a model of the self-concept model. And what this self-concept model tries to do is it tries to show you the ways. There are 4 of them. 4 ways that influenced us to become the person that we think we are. Not that others, that we think we are. So let's talk about this. Let's take this first one. The first one is others' images of you. In other words, some people will have an idea of their self-concept, not about what they think they are, but what others thought they were, the other's image of you. So in other words, well, not in other words, in the exact words, this is why you never, ever tell a child, What are you, stupid? You are so dumb. Wow. Uh, though I've heard many parents saying that. So now you might be starting to understand. If you're told you're stupid, your self concept will be that you're stupid. So when you enter first grade, second grade, why even try to get a good grade? Why try to study? You were told you're stupid. Later on in life, abusers, people that abuse relationships will tell their partner, without me, nobody would ever love you. You're ugly, you're stupid, you're fat, you're too skinny, whatever it may be. They try to project that other's images onto that person so they feel that they are not worthy of having anybody else. And if they ever left this person, that they couldn't find anybody. Their self concept has been formed by what other people have said. This is why it's very important, like I said, never to tell a child, or anybody for that matter, that they're stupid. So, what do you do if your kid does do something stupid? How can you tell them that they're not stupid? Well, they're not stupid. Their behavior was stupid. You do the opposite. You say, come here. You say, you know what? You are such a smart kid. You're so bright. Look at the way you build those models out of Legos. You're a smart kid. Tell me why. Tell me why you would do something that was this dumb. Ah, we've separated the child from the behavior. Uh, so now we've actually kind of told them our self concept of them, our impression of them, is that they're smart. In fact, we think they're so smart that we can't understand why they did such a foolish thing. So this is your self concept. Uh, by the way, I have my notes. I'm going through notes. If I was professional, I'd have that teleprompter going. Self concept. You have an image of who you are, your feelings, your thoughts about your strengths and weaknesses. Well, let's do this again. You have a understanding and your own thoughts about your strengths and weaknesses. The self concept model. See, once we start learning this, it explains so much. This explains why one of the in the first few episodes of American Idol, they're the best, at least in my opinion, because it's people that can't sing, but they're in line, and they will tell the interviewers, "Oh, I'm a great singer. I'm terrific," and then they sing. I was going to sing, but I decided not to. They sing and they're awful. Who gave them the idea in their head? I mean, if you hook them up to a polygraph test, it would show that they do believe they are a good singer. That is their self concept. How did they get that? Well, let's go back to that line with that interview. By the way, this is a microphone with that interviewer. Right after the young woman or boy guy said, "Yes, I'm going to be the next idol. I'm a fantastic singer." The microphone then goes to their parents. "Oh, he is wonderful. He is great. Oh, she is terrific." That's how they got the idea that they are a good singer. It also has to do with kind of culture, which we're going to talk about in another episode. In other words, if you got a family that can't sing and it's the culture that everybody just sings, and if you're loud, that means you're good, then you had a concept that you're good. But let's keep culture out of this. I got something better later on that. So, yes, this explains in a social studies, interpersonal communication context to why people in line of American Idol think they're good singers and then they're not. How you might say, don't they have a recorder that they can hear their voice? Yeah, they do, but they also have mom and dad, maybe their friends, maybe their boyfriends or girlfriends, who all tell them they're terrific. Just like all these people said, you're not all that nice. So that's that. So, yes, it refers to people shaping their self concept and understanding how others perceive them. By the way, those others, how others perceive them, the more stuff you've got, the more respect you have for the person, the more that image they have of you will weigh on you. In other words, yes, I said a child. Well, who's the two parent? Who's the two people? The parents, the mother and father. As a child, they are the most important people in your life. Uh, Later on, it will be maybe a teacher. This is why teachers shouldn't really tell students a lot of negative stuff. They should find a way around it, because if they use negative terms, that student might develop a self concept. And you don't want to do the opposite either, like the American Idol. You don't want to inflate the person either. We'll talk about the ego later. But everybody says with self esteem, a lack of self esteem is terrible. I think sometimes an overinflated self esteem is even worse. Um, so if your parents think high of you, it's this simple. If others think high of you, you will think higher of yourself. If people think negative of you, you will think negative of yourself. That easy. So that is the others' images of you. That's one out of the four ways that we get the idea of how we became, how we think we are. Um, the next one, social comparisons. Yeah, wow. And this is crazy, especially for those of you, which are most of you, who grew up in the age of internet. I mean, talk about social comparisons. Holy moly. Uh, yes, we value how important we are by comparing it to how others are doing in life. Okay, so let's say you take a math test and you get a 70. Are you happy? You got a 70, man. That's a D plus. For some teachers, it's a C plus. It's not a good grade. You got a 70, and you feel terrible. But as you look around the class, you see Frank over there got a 12. Uh, Kelly, she got an 8. Oh, Steve got a 39. It turns out your 70 is the highest score in the class. How do you feel now? Now you feel like you're Einstein. What do you mean Einstein? You got a D plus, a C minus. You're no Einstein. Uh, but because of the social comparisons, you get the concept that you're smart. This is why when you move into a more challenging academic environment, all of a sudden those people that thought they were all that academically may not. It's almost like playing in high school. I love guys, and I guess it's women now. I grew up with the guys later on in life. They'd say, "Oh, I could have made the major leagues, except I injured my arm. I could have made the majors. I would have made the majors, but I injured my arm." And then you see the trophies of them in high school and all, and they were the starting pitcher. Well, who knows? Maybe their school had nobody could throw except this one kid. So he was the starting pitcher. And maybe they won the championship. Well, the championship, the league they were in sucked. Everybody, nobody was good. And that team just happened to be the best of the worst. Uh, and now all of a sudden he thinks he could make the majors. He's stepping from here to here. Social comparisons here. Okay, he got you through it. But now we're talking about the majors. You're going to compare yourself to Darryl Strawberry, who I once saw throw from the outfield wall all the way to the catcher on a fly. Huh. I could have done that, except I injured my arm. Uh, so, yes, after the test, you look around. Oh, my goodness, social sites. Are you kidding me? Um, Social sites are kind of made to compare. And boy, what a trap it is. What a trap. I used to always find it very amusing to see people that were stressed. I once saw in the winter a couple that was extremely stressed, and they were arguing, and they were on Green Street, and they started taking off their coats, and I'm thinking, what the hell are they doing? It's winter, and they're arguing, and they're both dressed very nice. Once the coats come off, they're dressed beautifully, and they walked in Green Street out in the middle of the nice cobblestone street, and as they're arguing, they take their selfie and they go, all right, shut up. Click. Wow. Now you're at home and you're arguing with your girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, and you're thinking, wow. All right, you know what? Everybody argues. It's not that bad. And then you see Kelly and Brock's picture of them, and you go, wow. I guess me and her, we ain't living too large. Look at this couple. Wow. That's why it's very hard when you start comparing yourself. But social comparisons, of course. Um, Now, I'm going to give you my opinion quite a bit in these episodes, but I'm also going to. I'm a teacher by trade, and I'm also going to. I'm not going to act like my opinion is actual fact. That comes from research. So here's some research on you for you. Women, they use social sites to compare themselves to others. So it's kind of wild. Men look at profiles of others to search for additional friends. Um, let's do this again. Women use the social sites to compare themselves to others. So they got on social sites, and right away their eyes kind of go to the woman to see what. And don't get mad at me. Don't put comments in there. This is research. And by the way, I'll make any research. Anybody wants to know where I got the research from, I will be glad to tell them. Uh, but let's be honest. If you're a woman, you go on a social site. Chances are you're going to look at the woman and you're going to say, does she look better than me? Does she have this? Do I have that? Blah, blah, blah. How do I compare to this woman? Men are not much like that. They look at profiles of others men, and they're not really comparing it their physical stuff. They're looking maybe at their information, where they live. They're comparing, mind you, but not. They're also looking to see if they're compatible with this person. Where women can just look at other social sites to see how they're doing. Men don't do that. They go onto the social sites to look for stuff. Um, how do we compare? Well, I like to think I don't compare. I like to think that social comparison. I think I'm a pretty good teacher. Uh, but I will go and rate my professor, and it will tell me that I'm a good teacher. But then instead of logging off rate my professor, I say, let me see how my colleagues are doing. Let me see if my score is higher than theirs. And I'm going to be totally honest. When I see just my own score, I'm like, hey, that's pretty good. But when I start seeing the other people's scores lower than me, I really start going, wow. And then I come back down to earth. But even I, who know this stuff, I'm still comparing myself to others. But it's very tricky if you're not into this, man. You got to know about idealism. That's why I think it was real nice to be born and to kind of live before these social sites, because now I'm actually seeing on the street I talked about, Green Street in Mercer. I witnessed this on, I'm not sure where. It could have been Worcester Street, but Prada. I literally saw two people walk in there, take a purse that was on a rope because there's a lot of thefts down there. But they took the purse and they held the purse and the picture, and the other person took a picture of them holding the purse. Now, I'm sure when they post that to their social sites, it doesn't say, hey, I went into Prada and look at this purse on a string. Isn't this cool? Wish I could afford it. No, that cable, you probably can't see it. And they held it. And they probably said something like, maybe buying myself a Christmas gift. And then we sit at home and we go, oh my God, this person can afford a $6,000 product gift. She's the same age as me. What am I doing wrong? You're not doing anything wrong. You're doing exactly what's right. You're saving your money. Well, for a $6,000 product bag, all right, if that's what floats your boat, yeah. But you're not just taking it. So that's why. Very tough with social network. But let's get back to the point. Another way that we get our own self concept is we compare. So if we see others are doing better than us, we feel worse about it. If others are doing worse than us, we feel good about ourselves. Hmm. Might let you know why some people might want to hang around people who are of lesser value in their mind to them. In other words, if I want to be pretty or if I want to be handsome, I just get some not so pretty, not so handsome people to hang around with. And then, hey, look at me. Uh, we look at insert. We search our name in search engines. We look at other people, our Facebook. We compare how many friends. I mean, social comparisons. The poor kid. I don't know when it starts anymore. I'm too old to know when it starts. I would think maybe at 9 years old, a kid comes, and I know it's not Facebook anymore. I guess it's Instagram. So the kid comes home. The kid goes to school. Kid's having a beautiful time. He thinks he has friends. And then he goes to school. I don't know, fourth grade, fifth grade. And somebody goes, I saw you on Instagram. And the kid goes, yeah, my parents helped me get the sign on. They go, you've only got 3 followers. And the kid's like, yeah, it's my aunt, and my brother, and my grandpa. And they go, yeah, but you only got 3. And the kid's like, what's wrong with that? Boy, that kid's life is about to change right at that moment when the other kid goes, I've got 1,200. Chris has 1,800. Pat has 2,400. Wow. Now that kid says, I've only got 3. Before they were fine with having 3. Their aunt, their brother, their grandfather. Now they go home. Their life is ruined. Oh, fourth grade. Can you imagine though? But this is what these episodes are about. So we were kind of too young to kind of realize that. We felt bad when we found out we didn't have Uggs. We had Pugs. So all the other kids were wearing Uggs. We thought we were cool because we had Pugs till we got to school. And then they told us they weren't. Well, we were too young. We'd go home crying. But the Pugs were good. Pugs looked good and they kept your feet warm. Ah. Um, but you didn't know any better. So you didn't like your Pugs anymore. I drive a Ford. Um, I was very poor for most of my adult life. Um, my fortune had turned, not hugely, but enough for the first time in my life, I could afford a new car. Never had a new car. 48 years old, never had a new car. And I could get just about any car I wanted. I always wanted a BMW. Corvettes look pretty nice, don't they? I bought a Ford Escape. I got a kayak. Fits very nice on the roof. I got 3 cats. Uh, and a partner. Like, Corvette. And what am I going to do? Put the cats out? It's convertible. Can't even put a kayak up. I don't know. Maybe I could with the hard top. Where are the cats going to be? Uh, the point I'm making is I got a Ford Escape. I drive next to somebody and they pull up to me in that Corvette or that BMW and I look and I go, nice car. I don't feel anything more. I don't feel worse of my position. But I knew when I was a kid and I got a Prince Racer bike, even though I asked for the Schwinn Continental in the 70s, top flight bike, about 150 bucks. My parents got me a Prince Racer, which cost about 40 bucks. And all the kids knew it. I was happy with the Prince Racer until the kids started calling it the Princess Racer. Cowboys were back then, the Princess Racer. And until they all had their Schwinn Continental. Then I didn't drive my Prince Racer anymore. I wouldn't ride it. Could you imagine? I wouldn't ride it. And thankfully, my parents were smart enough to say, then walk. They didn't run out and buy me the Schwinn. So I'm old enough now to keep driving my Ford. I'm not going to walk. So this self concept deal isn't just to let you know about how you got to be the way you are or you think about yourself, but you can now change it once you know these things. All right, let's get into cultural teachings. Cultural teachings. I am. I'm going to talk a lot about culture. I'm not sure if I'm going to do it in this episode because culture is not really what we imagine it is. Uh, how can I say this? Maybe in 7th grade you did a culture fair and you learned what culture was. So if you were okay, your little Billy is assigned China for the culture fair. So little Billy researches China and he finds out that they have paper lanterns and that they have a thing that does this that waves. And Sally's got Italy. So she finds out the Leaning Tower of Pisa is pretty cool, and they like cannoli. So they set up the culture tables, and on the Chinese table for China, they have the paper lanterns and the little thing that goes like this. For Italy, she made a little scale of the Leaning Tower of Pisa. She's got some cannolis, and everybody loves it because you get to eat the cannoli. So she's probably going to get an A. But later on, we'll find out that culture is really not all that important in learning about interpersonal communication. Cultural teachings. Every household has their own culture. Every corporation has their own culture. In Goldman Sachs, I was a bartender. We'd have traders come in, guys that made money. Some are extremely professional. Would get up whenever a woman came in and gave them their seat. Another one would sit there and look at the woman while having a drink and talking about how great they were. Well, one was from Goldman Sachs, which has a corporate culture of respect for everybody. There's a decorum of professionalism there. The other one, I don't know, might have been one of these things that closed down. I don't know, Bear Stearns or something. Those were the corporate culture is to brag about how much you make. Um, Cultural teachings, WASPs, White Anglo-Saxon Protestants. They believe that you should make the paper twice. Once when you're born and once. Oh, I moved that. I'm sorry. I like that little building in there. That's not a picture. That's the view. Tribeca. So I like that right in there. Um, what the heck was I talking about? Uh, bu- 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 I was talking about the corporate culture, and then I was talking about family culture. WASPs. Yes, White Anglo-Saxon Protestants twice. Twice. Once when you're born, you make the paper, and once when you die. Their culture is shh, don't talk about how much money you make. There are other cultures that you boast about how much money you make. You put it out there. You show people how much money you make. A masculine culture is very much like that. Show how much you're winning. Uh, think a person like Donald Trump. I'm not talking about his politics. In fact, I wish he wasn't president so I could compare this because this is how Trump was before he was president. Put it out there. Show you got bling. Make it gold. Make everything there. Say how much money you've got and all that stuff. And then there's others who their culture is no, no. You keep it quiet. This has a lot to do with the self concept you have of yourself. So these are cultural teachings. Well, who teaches you these things? Well, your parents do, your teachers do, the media does. So if you come from a culture that thinks another race is inferior to them, and you're taught that, your self concept will be that you're superior. Your race is superior. Uh, could that have happened if you were on the wrong side of the race? If all of a sudden you were told your whole life uh, from these cultural teachings that you know you're in the minority, so therefore you're inferior? Can you imagine getting that self concept that you're inferior? Well, it's happening, and we're finally starting to have discussions about that in the world. But nonetheless, so cultural teachings are really something, and they might explain why some people think that they're nice when they're mean. In other words, if I'm always arguing and somebody says you're argumentative, I say, no, I'm not. Or I might say, yeah, I am, but who cares? That's how people are. And some people say, no, it's not. Let's go into my house where I grew up, where everybody was arguing. You had to be loud. Uh, if you weren't loud, you weren't going to be heard and you weren't going to get what you wanted. So the cultural teaching of that family household is to argue. Argue until you get your way. Um, so later on, somebody might not even realize that their negative ways are negative because it's the way we always did it. In my house, it was the father came home. Boom! Burst open the door. I just worked 8 hours. I just was out there in the jungle. Now, whatever I say goes. Well, it's pretty funny because when I got my first living girlfriend, I had my first bad day at the office, and I came home and went, boom! Everybody watch out. I had a bad day. It didn't take a few of those boom till she walked out that door. And I said, what did I do? I thought it was normal to kick open the door every day. At least I made it easier for her to leave, right? The door was off the hinges by that time. All right. Yes. So what do we got? We got others' images of you. We've got social comparisons, and we talk about cultural teachings. If you're not what your culture says you are supposed to be, you will feel like a failure. Let's get that. That's the bottom line on this one. I know I give a lot, and then I could really sum it up very quickly. One more time. If you're not what your culture says you are supposed to be, you may consider yourself a failure. If you grew up in a sport, can you imagine growing up in the Manning, when Peyton Manning, all those quarterbacks? I guess their father Archie was. I don't know, but I do know their culture was probably football. So maybe you didn't like football. You might have, or maybe you liked football, but you weren't good at it. You might feel like you're a failure because of what that culture said. Uh, let's take some places in Mexico, and I've talked to my students, and this is in Pueblo, Mexico. It is still at the age of 23, 24. If well, let me put it this way: in America, if you're 27 and you're a woman, and you say, "Hey, I'm not married, I got a career," they might go, "Wow, she's successful." Uh, in Pueblo, Mexico, and in other parts of this world, and possibly in parts of America, if you don't have children, if you're not married and have children, you're not a success. You're actually a failure. Something must be wrong with you. You're 27 years old and you don't have children yet. Uh, so that really sums it up again. So okay, and the last one on that whole concept model is self-evaluation. Self-evaluation is a little tougher to teach, uh, because what it says is you may also, because you say self-evaluate and people think it means that you evaluate yourself. You kind of do, but it happens really, really subconsciously, and I'll tell you what I mean. uh, Self-evaluate, you may also base your image of yourself on how you react to your own behavior. And see, I told you, I gotta do some explaining. One more time. You may also base your image of yourself, on how you react to your own behavior. You interpret it and you evaluate it. So I'm going to do the opposite this time. I'm actually going to give you the sum up, and then I'll give you the long stuff. In other words, if you do good things, you will feel good about yourself. If you do bad things, you will feel bad about yourself. That's simple. One more time. If you do good things, you're going to feel good about yourself. If you do bad things, you're going to feel bad about yourself. The first one's easy. First one's real easy. If you do good things, you're going to feel good about yourself. Um, I'm in New York City here. Uh, I could be in a very bad mood. I'm walking down the street, boom, 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 pissed off, don't want to talk to anybody. And I've got a family of tourists who come up to me and say, "Excuse me, excuse me." I pretend I don't hear them, but they're like, "Excuse me." I look, I'm like, "Yeah." They're like, "Can you tell me how to get to Canal Street?" I go, "Yeah." Um, you go down West Broadway, you're at Prince Street right now, go to Spring, then there's Grand Street, a few more things. But if you go there about 6 more blocks, it goes right into Canal Street, and you'll know it's Canal Street because it's the biggest street there. And they're like, thank you so much. By that time, I usually go, "Where are you from?" And they'll go, "Oh, I don't know. We're from, I don't know, Germany." I'll say, "Oh, I've never been to Germany. How do you like the city?" And they'll be like, "Oh, it's good. It's good." I'm like, "All right, listen, have a great time while you're here." They're like, "Thank you." I'm like, "Okay, bye." All of a sudden, I'm in a good mood. I feel good about myself. Oh man, I just helped this family. Yeah, shut up, man. All you did was give them directions to Canal Street. You're acting like a hero. So yeah, when we do good, we feel good about ourselves. Uh, I do an experiment a lot of times with my student. I say when you are in a bad mood, uh, go look. Well, as you walk, I'm in New York, of course, and we take subway, so there's always. But walk around and have a dollar bill in your hand, and when you see somebody who needs money, give it to them. When you walk away, you will feel better about yourself. Very easy to prove. If you do good, you'll feel good about yourself. Here's the tricky part: when you do bad. When you do bad, you don't really want to acknowledge you do bad. So a lot of this is hidden. Oh, it comes out. Oh, it comes out all right. But in ways that we don't know. Here's an instance. You're assigned work to do on a Wednesday, and it's due Monday morning. So you get it Wednesday, and you go, I got till Monday, but I'm going to get it done early. Thursday comes, and you're like, you know what? I got plenty of time. Friday comes, and you think, you know what? I got the weekend. I mean, Monday through Friday, yeah, I'll do it on the weekend. That's cool. Saturday comes, and you don't feel like it. I don't know, it's raining outside. You feel like, and you don't do it because you still got Sunday, don't you? But you know what? That Saturday, you're going to be in a little bad mood, and you're going to do what we call anger displacement. Because subconsciously, you know where you should be. You should be doing your work. But instead, you're not doing your work. But instead of yelling at yourself, you're going to be a little snippy. You're going to be a little snappy. You're going to probably take it out on other people. You're going to be in a bad mood. Sunday, when you wake up and you still haven't got your work done, oh, you're going to be in a bad mood. And you're going to tell people, I'm stressed. I got this to do. Well, why are you yelling at me? You were assigned it on Wednesday. You're not stressed at me. Why aren't you yelling at yourself? Because we don't want to yell at ourselves. I don't know. Well, I do know, but it's got something to do when we were cavemen and stuff. If we always thought how bad we were doing, we probably could not exist as human beings. So we've been given a nice way of kind of suppressing in our subconscious of these things we do, but they'll eat away at you. And what I'm saying is, yes, you do know that you did bad, so you're going to feel bad about yourself, and you're going to take it out on others. But you truly feel bad about yourself. It's just a little subconscious, and then you're going to play the anger displacement. So that's what self-evaluation is. Uh, so do good more things, and you'll have a good concept of you. That's why when people do bad things and they still feel good about themselves, that's a psychopath. Because if you do bad things, you will feel bad about yourself. If you do good things, you'll feel good about yourself. So, I mean, somebody who is very, very happy and thinks they're a genius because they know how to rip off credit card numbers, that's a problem. Yes, subconsciously, I'm sure they're doing a lot. But possibly if we hooked up this polygraph and said to these people, like, do you feel you're a good person? Do you feel good? Well, not that, but do you feel good about yourself? They'll probably say, yeah. Okay, so let's recap this very, very quickly. Uh, we have a self concept of ourselves, and it's based on four things: others' images of you, social comparisons, uh, cultural teachings, and this self evaluation we just talked about. Uh, let's sum it up one last time. With the self concept, uh, others' images of you, it's real easy. People think highly of you, you'll think highly of yourself. People think poorly of yourself, you'll think poorly of you. You know what? Forget it. Do what's right. Don't have other people look at you and tell you how you should feel about yourself. And remember, watch out for anybody who calls you stupid or anything like that. And if they do, I don't care whether you put them in their place or not, but don't let that be part of your self image, your self concept. Self awareness. Boom. I'm sorry. Self awareness. I'm on the next episode. We don't want that. Social comparisons. Compare yourself to others. If you're doing better, you'll feel better. If not, you'll feel worse about yourself. Cultural teachings, culture tells you whether you're successful or not. And self evaluate. You tell yourself whether you're a good person or not. All right. That was the first deal we're talking about. It's the self concept. Um, I find many people have a very bad not a bad self concept. They have an incorrect concept of themselves. Um, if you want to find out yourself, rate yourself. Put some characteristics: nice, polite, caring, uh, or you could also put rude, whatever ones, and then fill it out 1 through 5. Now go 1 through 10, and then give it to somebody else. Give it to a few people to fill out, and see if the self concept you have of yourself is how others feel about you, or are you that person that says, you know what, I'm the sweetest guy around, and I got 10,000 people telling me, no, you're not. You're a mean person. And I go, I don't care what you guys say. I know what I am. I'm nice. Well, you know what? You might not know who you are or what you are. Uh, but now, hopefully, after this episode, you can take a look at your self concept, look at those 4 elements of it, and adjust accordingly. Okay, on our next episode, I will be talking about self awareness. How aware of yourself are you? Uh, I'm aware I talk very loud. I didn't always know that. Now, when I teach, I talk normal, but I have to be aware because if I walk into another place like a library or even an elevator or subway car, I've got to be aware that I'm a loud guy. But more on that in our next episode. Okay, thank you, and I hope this first episode will help you just a little bit about how to learn to live among you. Thank you, and see you in the next episode.